Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Curious Realms continuing coverage of the second annual Texas Dogman and Cryptid Conference brought to you by the Paranormal Round Table. We're here with our good friend Tex Wesson from Texas Front Porch. How have you been doing, man?
Man, if it's any better, it wouldn't be legal.
Right?
And this has been a hoot. I mean, and I can see I'm going to be fighting. You know what?
Right,
we're going to do this.
Uh-oh.
We're going to do this.
Is Tex taking his hat off?
We're getting serious here.
I could not be more honored than for you to drop the hat.
Well, you know,
because it's a whole look. It's a whole look.
It is, and it's not something. The hat is not something that, you know. It's just. It's like you mentioned earlier, just before we got on air. It's like, well, here, you know, maybe these headphones will fit, and maybe you can get them to fit or whatever, and you can be in character.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not. The whole being in character thing is really not a character.
Yeah.
You know, it's really me portraying how I grew up. You know, because this is me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And because I did actually rodeo for about 6 years. I did, you know, I grew up on farms and working ranches and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's it's really me showing who I really am.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really
that is one of the things that I not only love about you as a person, but you on your show as well. Is you are as real world and honest as it gets, Tex.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It is.
I try.
Well, you know, it's a different thing to be a truly genuine human being and talk about experiences genuinely.
Yeah.
And come from a genuine place of care and concern for people about certain topics.
Right.
And you're here presenting today.
Yes, I am.
You'll be presenting. Tell us a little bit about your presentation and what you're going to be talking about.
You know, I may make some people mad today.
Okay. Hey, I break hearts all the time on social media, but
I learned yesterday because I was on the Dogman panel yesterday, and I learned that my views are probably different than a lot of people that's here.
Sure.
And I mean, even the presenters and stuff, because we have been trying to figure something out in the field with all this phenomenon, and that's really all I can call it, because the Bigfoot, the Dogman, the woo that everybody talks about, you know, and a lot of people credit or they throw everything into a Bigfoot or Dogman box.
Oh, yeah, no. They're catch-all bins, like saying Kleenex or Xerox.
Exactly. And being out in the field, that's not what we're seeing, you know, and it's like not everything's a Bigfoot, not everything's a Dogman. I think we attribute way too much to these creatures. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the people that are having these other phenomenon happen to them in these experiences, I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Exactly.
You know, and just because it hadn't happened to me doesn't mean it's not going to.
That's true.
You know, I can only speak from my experiences, what I've witnessed, and reports that I've gotten. So, but I do think that let's take mines, because that's a real touchy topic with a lot of people.
I firmly understand. We were just talking with Ann Celine. We talked with Jason McLean yesterday about the idea of. I'm
sorry you had to put up with Jason, but that's okay.
He questions everything, which being curious is all about.
I've got Jason that questions everything, and I got Brandy that answers everything.
And you know, it is the question of, are we bringing something with us that is manifesting this in the field?
Oh, yeah.
That's the question I've had this whole time. You know, especially when you're talking Dogman, things like that. I do believe that there is a large hominid creature known as Sasquatch in the United States. Fully. There is a biological being out there. But there is also something else that is hijacking that trope that we are okay with seeing.
Yes.
That's something else.
Yeah.
Where it's like, they'd be comfortable seeing this.
Right.
But if they saw me in my true form,
right,
it'd be different. Or even the fact of, if they see a Dogman, it will scare them off. in a known way.
Right.
So
the concern that I have, and I've said this 1,000 times, and unfortunately, a lot of people take it wrong. It's I've even been accused of attacking people, and that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it is because I have dear friends that claim to communicate with these things telepathically, and it is a legitimate concern from my part.
Sure.
Maybe it's the fact that it's kind of like what you were saying. They want to communicate or having a relationship, or however you want to look at it, with these creatures so bad that they're opening the door to something else that's presenting itself as that.
Bring it in, buddy. Bring it in.
So, and once paranormal investigation, and I dabble in that.
Oh, sure.
I'm not now. Brandy and Krista, they're the paranormal folks. I just go along for the ride. But Paranormal 101, what are spirits going to do to you? They're going to lie.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you heard? They come across as loved ones, they come across as children, they come across as this. Why? Because, like you said, if I showed you my true form, you wouldn't want nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Well, and even the idea of. Is the location that you are going to investigate actively haunted?
Right.
Or is it because of the fact that while you're preparing, you're considering, I'm going to look at this haunted place.
Right.
You should dispassionately look at it as I'm just going to do an investigation.
Right.
Because the more you put into your mind, haunted place, haunted place, haunted place,
right,
you are actively helping manifest something there.
Yeah.
And like... The example I make all the time is remote viewing. That came from a paper talking about how when people were thinking about experiments at home, they were affecting them in the lab.
Yeah.
This is all quantum entanglement science that we know to be a thing now.
Yeah. And it's all convoluted. You're so... my problem is I don't speak as eloquently as you do. Because my interpretation, it's a convoluted mess.
It is. It's a bowl of noodles.
It is.
It's a bowl of noodles, and good luck finding the beginning.
There you go.
Good luck finding the front of the noodle.
I mean, I don't. In a perfect world, at the end of the day, we're going to end up being like the two dogs in the cartoon. And we're going to figure this out. It's going to meet.
Well, hopefully, we won't end up like the dude, like plasma. Dog plasma.
Exactly.
Mixing them up.
But
excuse me.
That the whole mind speak thing is I'm really, really concerned about it.
I could see that. I could see how you're concerned about that, because that's always been one of my things. Like, it's not the Ouija board,
right?
It's the intent,
exactly,
and the intent to use the Ouija board. That makes the Ouija board work. Now, the question of what's coming through on the other side?
Yeah, you don't know.
I mean, literally, the example I give is The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Howdy.
Oh, yeah.
Captain Howdy was the name that Pazuzu, the demon, used to talk to Regan, the little girl, where she was just playing a game. It's just a game. It's just a game. Who's Captain Howdy? Oh, well, he's the guy that I talked to.
Yeah.
It was Captain Howdy. What that was her giving consent to Captain Howdy to come on in.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
No doubt. The vampire kind of like in Renfield. I don't know if you've seen Renfield yet.
I have not yet.
There's a great moment where he opens the door, he knocks on the door, and the guy opens it, and he's like, "Well, thank you," and he just walks in because you've opened the door for the vampire now.
Yeah,
and they can't come in without invitation. You have to give that consent. You can revoke your consent from that system anytime you want.
Yeah.
But you have given your consent.
It's like the movie Lost Boys, where, his mother invites him in, and then he shoots him with like a holy or a cross or whatever. Yeah. He's like, it doesn't happen. You've already given him power.
Yeah. You've already invited him in.
Yeah. You're powerless now.
Yeah.
That's the mind speak thing. Okay. Now we address the cloaking issue or the porthole issue.
Yeah.
This is something I've recently started thinking about.
Okay.
In my mind, And again, this is my opinion. I know it stinks, but it's like everybody else's. You got one, you know how it is. But everybody's got one and they all stink.
That's it.
But as of right now, let me put it this way, because as of right now, this is how I'm thinking this is going. I think the difference between myself and everybody on my team is we're open-minded enough to change our opinion if we see the evidence to do so.
Sure.
Okay.
Proper skeptic, capital S skeptic.
Right. And that's how we try to be, you know. But anyway, the whole talking about, okay, there in my opinion, there's a physical creature. Okay. If you want to talk about Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever, I think there is a physical creature of both types. Hell, they may be the same thing. We don't know. That's that's part of the problem. Yeah. We don't know what they aren't.
Yeah.
For one, and then this other phenomenon that we talk about, and you start talking about, you know, the portals, and you start talking about the cloaking abilities, and then of course the mind speak and everything. Why are we assuming that in the last 50 years, I'll be generous, because this is something new.
It's pretty new. You didn't find Bigfoot sightings from the 1960s where portals were part of it.
Right. The only one that I'm aware of was it Daniel Boone's or Davy Crockett's that disappeared right before him.
Yeah.
But if you look back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we're still seeing reports and evidence of these physical creatures. But we're also seeing reports and lore and stuff of this other stuff happening. But what's doing it? What's it getting? What does the lore tell us that's had those abilities? The Fae.
Yeah.
And I think that may be what we're dealing with.
Interesting. Yeah. Whenever you're talking to the people of the Fae, just so you know, everybody, that is the world of fairies.
Yeah.
That is the world of magic. And yes, there were various Fae.
Right.
Not many people realize that, like, gnomes are part of the Fae.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a whole family.
Elves, the trolls.
Exactly.
The elementals.
Yeah. Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. So I can see where you're saying that. Because they are the spirits of the forest, the nymphs, things like that.
One thing that you hear everybody talk about, don't follow the voices in the woods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That advice comes from thousands of years ago, not just when people started seeing, now don't get me wrong, people have been seeing Bigfoot and Dogman for thousands of years.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
but,
when you're talking werewolf, things like that, again, we were having the conversation earlier. That's ancient Greece.
Oh, yeah.
That's King Lycan. Yeah. That is the origin of lycanthrope.
Egypt.
Yeah.
So, which I have a whole theory on the origin of Dogman. That I'm reshaping on a daily basis, but all these abilities that we talk about Bigfoot having or Dogman having were all attributed to the Fae.
Yeah,
all those years back.
And tricksters.
Yeah,
tricksters. They are tricksters. They use disguises. Right. They will look like family members to get their way.
Well, look at
all kinds of things.
Yeah, and look at the missing 411.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Another thing, if you look at all the mysterious circumstances that around these things, there again, what was attributed to that, causing that, thousands of years ago.
Well,
the Fae.
And the fact of the one thing that David Paulides talks about with all of that is the fact of the one thing that you cannot stop is the nose of an animal.
Right.
You ain't gonna fool a hound dog.
Right.
You ain't gonna fool a hound dog. Right. And when that tracking dog just stops, because the trail goes cold, there is no scent anymore.
Right.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird as hell.
Exactly. I mean, and you have the cases that basically a toddler shows up 24, 48 hours or whatever later, miles away in a boulder field.
The one I talk about all the time is the one in Tennessee. Yeah. The little 6-year-old girl that was gone for like weeks.
Yeah.
Like 9 days, something like that. Came back and said that a bear took her to a cave and took care of her.
Yep.
Like Maggie Simpson action.
Yeah.
And this is a 6-year-old girl. This is and granted, yes, kids are prone to flight of fancy. What they're not prone to do is live for 9 days on their own.
Exactly.
Without care, feeding, all of that kind of stuff, shelter, warmth, everything.
I mean, as a parent, you hate to lose sight of your kid for 10 seconds, much less
9 days. 9 days.
In the woods.
Yeah, and I mean, there were search parties. There were all kinds of stuff. And to know about that, the fact that she came back like, oh, my God, what happened? Well, a bear took me and took care of me. And I was good the whole time. I don't know why you're so freaked out. Well, the bear was friendly. Yeah. And when you're talking about don't follow the voices in the woods, that was when you're talking Sasquatch, things like that, that was the advice of Indians in the Northwest, was the fact of don't give them salmon.
Right.
Don't go with them, because if you go with them, there ain't no coming back.
Right.
You ain't coming back.
Right.
If you go into their world, you're in their world.
Right.
You ain't going to be able to get back to here.
And to be baited to go into the woods.
Yeah.
There's
I hear the creepy kid laughter from the trees right now.
And we actually experienced that, but it was a woman, it was a female.
Oh wow.
And out in the field, and this is camp. I mean, our main camp, and there was like, golly, there was like 9 of us in camp that heard this at the same time. And it was laughter on one side of our camp in the woods, and then a few minutes later, it was laughter on the other side of the camp in the woods. So the weird phenomenon, yes, it happens. It does. That I'm not arguing.
Yeah,
it's what's responsible is what I'm trying to get people and I don't want you to drink my Kool-Aid. I don't want you to do any of that.
Yeah,
I just want you to be open-minded enough to go, what if?
To stop and think.
That's all I'm asking.
To stop and have the gentle consideration of the possibility.
It's no different than somebody that, and I hate this term, and I'm trying to figure out something else to call it, but the woo. Okay? It's no different than one of these people that believe in that.
Yeah.
Talking to what we call an aper. Okay.
Yeah.
All they want is this person to go stop and think and go, what if?
Yeah.
I'm asking the same thing.
Well, it's kind of the idea, the conversation we've been having a lot is right now with UFO, UAP.
Oh yeah.
And the whole Grush testimony and the fact and the use of the new term non-human intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
a very vague term.
Well, yes. However, everything's been Kleenex, Tex.
Oh, yeah.
And everything's always been inside of the box of extraterrestrial. And when you put it inside of that box, you are putting it inside of a box no less than every scientist who said it doesn't fit in our box.
Right. That is very true.
It's unconsidered now.
That is very true.
Because it's not in our box of science.
Yeah, we're
so when
doing
you
the
say,
same thing.
when you diminuitize, and the way I put it, it's distillation thinking. And the only thing you get out of distillation is a volatile substance.
That is true.
That's the only thing you get. And I don't care if it's your politics, where it's us versus them.
Right.
And because they think that this must be the case, you don't know that person. No. That is not the case. Exactly. That is distillation thinking, and you have just created a volatile situation. Right. And you are responsible for that. And yeah, if you're distilling it down to it can only be this one thing, you are creating a volatile situation and diminuitizing the field of research. Right. You're saying unless it fits inside of this bottleneck, it's not. And We don't know anything. So, like, the field is wide open. This is full on the moment of real, true scientific process of hypothesis, testing, theory, law.
Yeah.
Like, you start with hypothesis, which means you can think anything you want. And then through testing, we're going to prove it or disprove it, and it becomes a theory. Still not a fact, still not a law, a working theory. Relativity, still a theory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because that whole speed of light thing is the speed of light inside of a vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a quantitative inside of there, not the full-on speed of light, the speed of light inside of a vacuum. Like inside of this box, this equation works.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's like, okay, all these scientists, they don't want to consider, or most of them, I'm not going to say all, most of them are not even open-minded enough to go, well, maybe Bigfoot does exist. Okay. But if they do admit that, I think it's arrogance. On
both sides. On both sides.
I totally
that's
agree.
just it.
I totally agree.
It's
human arrogance.
When you get the polarizing argument, period, whether it's red versus blue, us versus them, that is tribalism.
Yeah.
And it's you were afraid of the people on the other side of the trees because Granddaddy said that they were to be scared.
Oh, exactly.
You were to be scared of them.
Yeah.
Not because you've been to the other side of the trees.
Right.
But because you were told not to go to the other side of the trees.
Yeah.
You know?
It may be an amusement park over there, but you would never know because you will not go past that.
That's a thing that, we really do when we're looking at phenomenon. We have to consider that, Tex, because we do have this human want of confirmation. We have that want of confirmation of belief. We want other people to believe what we believe. We want our belief to be confirmed in that human way.
Right.
Like we were talking with Ann Celine earlier, you're not going to change a true believer.
No, you're not.
Nobody will ever tell me that the religious experience I had did not happen.
Yeah.
I don't care if we get a Wayback Machine that can go back to that moment. You're not going to tell me it didn't happen to me that day.
That's true.
Like, it happened.
Yeah.
So you can try to convince me of another paradigm if you like. Bang your head against the wall all you want.
Yeah.
Or you can hear my story, accept it prima facie, and accept the fact that I had an experience and it changed me.
Right.
And that's what we need to focus on. Did you have an experience? Did it change you?
Right.
And even the concept of intent. Are we dragging that with us?
Right.
And are we manifesting some of this anomaly that is occurring? Much like a CE5 experience, where CE5 is the human-initiated contact.
Exactly, yeah. We had something very, very strange happen to us out in the field one time. One time. A lot.
Pretty regularly from what I know of your team.
Oh, my gosh. But this one night, there was 5 of us up in the field. It was myself, it was Amy and Laney from What the Paranormal, fantastic mother and daughter team. They're both sensitive. Daughter Laney is very, very sensitive.
Wow.
And then I had my trackers, junior and senior, and father and son team. Okay. So we're up and we went to Brown Springs Cemetery.
Okay.
Okay. We're up there. We're separated by several yards, but we can still see and hear each other. Okay. I'm with the girls, junior and senior over here. All right. Now, they start having something happen over there, and they're dealing with their thing. We start having something happen over here with us at the same exact time. This is all simultaneous. I get a feeling like I've never had before, as far as just being, it was, just walking out in the woods and experiencing stuff. I feel like I just did a workout and my arms, if you do a hard arm workout and your arms feel, you got that.
Like they're lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt flushed. I was hot. I mean, and I'm like, I'm trying to shake this off. I'm trying to understand what's going on. I'm talking to Amy and Laney, because they deal with that stuff. I don't deal with that stuff. And I'm telling them what's happening. They're talking me through it. And they said, well, it sounds like something's trying to either get your attention or attach itself to you. And I'm just like, get off me,
Yeah.
And then Laney starts having her spidey sense go off. I say that joke.
Yeah.
But, and right after that, oh, no, I'm sorry. Then they had an obelisk.
Okay.
An obelisk. And we get 3 words. We get, what was it? It was Grace, Beast, Solo. Okay. And I'll go into just a minute why those are pertinent. Then I'm wearing a headlamp. Amy's got this adjustable sun for a light that she uses. It's a 6x9 LED light. Oh my gosh, lights up. It's like daytime. And it's got an adjustment that you can dial the intensity up and down. They go dark at the same exact time.
Oh.
I mean, blink.
Wow.
I had to physically turn my headlamp back on. I had to push the button to turn it back on. Never heard a click going off.
Yeah.
Her light, when it came back on, when we got it to come back on, the intensity level dial was working backwards. Okay. Now these
Interesting.
words. I know, right?
Huh.
So, and then the words that we got down at the bottom of the cemetery. Now, this cemetery sits about 100 or so yards up on a hill. It's a defunct cemetery. It's in horrible shape. It's sad. Okay. But the youngest death date in this thing is 1924. Okay. So it's an old cemetery.
Yeah.
So anyway, parked down at the bottom of the hill is my truck and Amy Laney's truck with her husband in it. Okay. Earlier in camp, Junior had made the remark, because he's a big old boy. Okay. She made him, in his first time he'd ever met, he said, damn, Amy, your husband's a beast. Okay.
Huh.
And he's sitting down at the bottom of the hill by himself.
Solo.
Now here's the kicker. My truck, I named my truck Grace.
Wow.
And I named it after Grace Budd, Albert Fish's last victim that got him caught. That I truly believe, hands down, that she reached beyond the grave and got his ass taught, because he did something that didn't have to do.
Yeah.
He'd never done before.
Yeah.
And he was writing a letter sadistically, just making her parents feel like crap.
Yeah.
And telling them they're responsible for what he did to her.
Yeah, yeah.
And watch that guy right there. And and that got him caught.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a little history on that. But those 3 words came across the obelisk. Okay.
Now, did her husband have any kind of experience while he was in the truck at that point?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever.
Interesting.
Now, at the same time all this is going on, the exact same time, Junior and Senior are, 30, 40 feet of that wall over there? About that distance.
Yeah.
Okay. And we are having a hard time hearing each other. Okay? It's not that we can't hear, it's that we can't make out what each other say.
Yeah, no distinction.
It's kind of muffled. It's weird. They are seeing these entities that look like they thought it was 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, cat-like creatures. They thought it were big cats, because there are big cats in the area.
Oh, sure.
And they were in the trees, but they were dark, shadowy creatures. Okay, they looked very cat-like. They come down out of the trees and stood up on 2 legs. Okay, they were approaching them. Okay, to the point to where they had drawn their weapons.
Wow.
Okay. And then when they finally hit them, and they weren't using their lights. We had moonlight, and if you can get away with it, you really don't want to use a light.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So they finally lit them up, and when they lit them up, they disappeared. They turned their lights off. They were right back where they were.
Oh.
So we decide that.
Wow.
We decide that to fall back and regroup at that point. And then when we regrouped and we decided, okay, it's time to go, we need to go back down. Because the thing about it is, when you take somebody out in the field, you're responsible for their safety. That's the
absolutely, absolutely, no doubt.
And I'm an old Texas boy, especially women. I'm going to throw the guys to the dogs. I'm protecting the girls. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm mother henning the girls. I'm getting them gathered up and everything. And junior and senior, we regroup, and we decided time to leave. Then we start hearing something circling us on the backside into the trees. So we go back down, and the trail. It takes a little to negotiate down the trail because it's an old road, but it's washed out. And I mean, it is washed out to the level of the actual ground level. When you're in the trail, is eye level.
Oh wow!
And it's steep on both sides, and so it's a perfect ambush point. You know, you really have to have your head on the swivel. So we're making our way down, and we get about halfway down the trail, and there's a mound of sand for some reason that's off to the side of the trail that catches Junior's attention for some reason. I don't know why. He goes, "I'm going to go check this out real quick." So he jumps off the trail real quick. And when I say jump off the trail, it wasn't 20 feet off the trail. We can see him right there. So he goes up. He finds 2 hoof prints in this hill of sand that are about 12 inches in diameter.
Wow.
Okay. Just 2.
Wow. Wow.
We make it back down to the truck.
12 inches. That's like pie pan. Yeah. That's like pie pan size.
Yeah. That's a mule.
Personal pie.
That's a mule or a Belgian draft horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so yeah. Ooh. You're looking at hooves about this big around.
That's huge.
So, and like I said, there was only 2 of them. And so we make it back down to the trucks. And we're almost in the trucks, if I remember how this went. And we got down in the flat area. And Junior saw this cat thing dart across the road. Okay?
The cat thing's weird.
I know, right?
That's strange. Right? That's strange.
It gets worse. So we pull out and we're going back to camp. We're camped about 1.5 miles, 2 miles away. So we pull out and we're going down the road, and Junior hollers out, "Stop right here, stop." Slam on the brakes, stop, I'm driving. Junior jumps out, runs in front of the truck, and he finds a track in a little mud puddle. And we're on a dirt road in a little mud puddle. It's not a mud puddle. It had dried. There wasn't no water in it.
Sure.
Moist, okay.
Yeah.
And it's a cat track about that big. So we had a lot going on.
Yeah.
You know, that one night, that one trip, and I mean that is just like I said, just one example of just the different phenomena.
Wow.
That we were all experiencing at the same time in the same location.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
You know, and when we got back to camp and we started talking about the experiences and everything, it was something that everybody individually or in their group, it may not have been their biggest fear, but it was something that they had recently talked about, you know, that bothered them or jarred them a little bit in the very least.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so we all had these different experiences. Why are we seeing And it's not the only time you hear that. You hear people talking about seeing an entity or hearing something. They're obviously reacting to the same phenomenon or event.
Yeah.
But they describe it totally different.
Yeah. And even that's something that we bring up regularly. Not only that, but the fact of two people being there and one person seeing it, one person not.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, it really is that personal filter of experience.
So that leads to this. These entities, these phenomena, whatever they are, even if I say, okay, yeah, it's Bigfoot doing this, they have these abilities, that means that they're able to tap into our subconscious.
Exactly.
Without permission.
Or is it also the fact that we're just radiating it anyway?
Exactly. Or is it the fact that
because
everybody that I go out with, okay,
we're all 90% empty space by all physics.
Exactly.
So
I'm more than that.
So we don't. So it's not like we necessarily have to give consent for them to read our mind.
Right. Exactly.
We're already entangled.
And everybody talks about when you go out in the field, be prayed up. It don't hurt. I'm telling you.
It ain't going to hurt.
Exactly. But if you're praying for protection, something's getting around that you're putting out. Something is getting around that protection, that wall, however you want to look at it.
Well, why? Well, and you know, especially if you're looking at it in that spiritual sense,
right.
Text. There is that concept. Like one of my favorite books of the Bible is Job, because the only rule was you can't kill him.
Yeah.
Do anything you want. You can't kill him.
Yep.
That was the final rule.
You can make him wish he was dead.
Do anything you want.
Yep.
You just can't kill him. They play by a different set of rules.
Oh, yeah.
So you can have all the protection you want.
Yeah.
They play by a different set of rules. I don't care if you're inscribing a circle on the ground, my man. They play by a different set of rules.
There's no doubt about it.
And yeah, you know, to think that, and I'm not saying that invoking the name of Christ or anything like that isn't going to help you.
Oh, yeah.
But is it going to be your save-all?
Well, and I think
we hope.
Well,
one hopes.
And I'll say this, and I try not to get too deep into that because there's a lot of different faiths out there. And
absolutely.
And I think that's what it comes down to, honestly.
Yes.
Is your level of faith.
Yeah.
Because you can, it's like getting back to the whole, cross holding the holy water and all that kind of stuff. If you ain't believing in it, it don't mean squat.
It don't mean jack. Don't mean jack.
So, if the 11th hour, that's my last ditch effort to go, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ.
Well, it's kind of like the whole idea of just because you don't believe in them, don't mean they don't believe in you.
Exactly. So there is a lot of to sum everything up. And my thing is, I do believe that we're dealing with multiple phenomena.
Absolutely. Same.
And,
this is a multifaceted phenomena situation.
And I do worry that people want to communicate or have a relationship with these, what I believe are physical creatures, so bad that they're letting this other stuff possibly get their foot in the door.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Precisely. Precisely, Tex. That is exactly one of the things that I have been considering and proposing on this show for a long time.
Right.
For a long time. Our want of experience.
Yeah.
And I typically at this point is when I gesture to all of my guest books. Feel free to read any of them. They don't start off with a song.
Yeah.
They start off like a Disney movie.
Right.
Which the first 5 minutes is typically pretty horrifying for somebody.
Yep.
The story changes as it goes along. There's redemption, but it starts off as a pretty bad experience for somebody in the story. Yep. So are you sure that's the experience you want? It's kind of like Lynn Buchanan, remote viewer, when he's like, people always say that they want to get into finding missing children, that they want to get into helping solve murders. Are you sure you want that renting the spare space in your head?
Right.
Because it's not every cop that wears a badge that can walk up and see a body on the concrete. Yeah. It's not everybody that can be a Martha Hazard Decker and be a murder investigator and see bodies every single day.
Yeah.
You know? So be careful for the experience that you wish for and that you want.
Exactly.
You know, because you wish for a ton of gold, it may just fall out of the sky on you, Tex.
You know,
be careful how you ask the genie. You know what I mean?
I watched Leprechaun 2 the other day, and
it's a great one.
When the guy has his 3 wishes, and he wishes for the pot of gold.
Yep.
And where does it go? Inside of him. And then he begs.
No, you didn't give the condition.
No.
You didn't give the condition. No. You just said.
You got what you wanted.
You got exactly what you wanted. Yeah. Just not in the way you wanted.
Exactly.
So, and on the flip side, I think when it comes to prayer, when it comes to manifestation, I think so many people get discouraged because, well, once again, they have put that in a box.
Yes.
And they have not removed themselves from the box and seen the other ways in which that may have manifested, that they, because it didn't fit in their box, it wasn't their manifestation and their prayer wasn't answered, which leads to a weaker faith.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's this whole loop of want of confirmation and confirmation, both of faith, belief, science, all of it. We're stuck in this eternal loop of all of that.
Well, and I think one of the biggest conversations going on right now is all of it's connected. Well, of course.
Yeah.
That's no big discovery.
Yeah,
we know this.
I'm sharing an electron show with a dude in Peru. Of course it's all connected.
Yeah. It's like, this is not some big discovery you made.
No, that's ninth grade science. Yeah. That's ninth grade science.
We're just trying to figure out on what level it's all connected.
Exactly. And what that path of connection is. What that handshake in the universe is that makes that connection.
And what is it? And this is something else we're trying to figure out. And I don't know if we're ever going to figure any of this out. Okay?
Yeah.
Is it these... Because obviously this phenomenon is happening around these physical creatures.
Yes.
Okay. If I'm looking at it from my standpoint.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to put it out there like that.
Yep.
Is it that these physical creatures, Bigfoot, Dogman, are attracted to the metaphysical side, spiritual side?
Yeah. That vibration.
Yeah, whatever. Or is it the other way around?
Yep.
We don't know.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those, like I've said so many times on this show, you have Bigfoot, you have a portal. The question comes now, which side of the noodle do you start eating that problem on, the portal or the Bigfoot? Because neither one's been proven. Exactly. You have two unquantitative things that are happening at the same time that you have to qualify and quantify one of them to begin the explanation and the investigation.
I'll tell you
So which one do you choose?
When you're talking about different phenomena happening in the field, the last trip that I made up there, I had Brandy Butcher with me, which is from Blondes and Blue.
Yep.
And like I said, they're paranormal mainly. They've just started dipping their toes into the cryptid side of things. And so we go up to the cemetery in Brown Springs. The place rarely disappoints. And we're up there, and we had a thermal with us. Okay. Thermal camera.
Yeah.
And Nicholas was up there with us, and another young lady that was a friend of Brandy's. Nick's running his thermal, and he says, "This is weird." I'm like, "Oh, okay." There was a thermal image of, I don't want to say an orb. Look, because I don't, the whole orb thing, I don't even want to get into.
That's an episode in and of itself.
It is. But I can't describe it as any other thing. But you couldn't see it with your naked eye.
Yeah.
It only showed up on thermal.
Yeah.
And it was hovering about 6 inches off the ground. It was coming across the thermal as black. And which I believe he had said it was hot.
Yeah.
And it was undulating. Okay.
Interesting.
Like lava lamp.
Yeah.
Okay, like that in the lava lamp. And it's, like 20 feet in front of us. We're like, what in the world? And I mean, this is something that we are passing the camera. Yeah, we're passing the camera back and forth. We don't, and this is all recorded, folks.
Wow.
And or like, is it some kind of small animal? You're going through your head. What is this? And
temperature inversion, whatever. Maybe a methane leak coming from the ground.
So, I mean, it was so weird because you're looking through the thermal and you'll look over and you're going, there's nothing there, but there it is, type thing. So, I get voluntold to go check it out.
Yeah.
So they're still got the thermal going, and I'm walking towards this thing.
Yeah.
It keeps the distance from me as I approach it.
Wow.
It moves.
Wow.
When I back off, it keeps the same distance till it's right back where it started. This is all we've got this captured.
That is wild, man.
So I don't what it was. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember when this took place. It was either just before or right after. We decided to go full dark, and there was 4 of us, and we stood back to back. So we had 360 cover. And I love going full dark because I'm not a fan of lights in the woods. Just really not.
Yeah.
And you let your eyes adjust and you start watching. Me and Brandy, don't know what it was. A giant, I say giant, about an 8-foot dark hominid thing walking through the trees.
Yeah.
About 20 yards away. We both saw this at the same time. It moved like a dancer. Okay.
Wow.
And then on the way we get back out, we found a little hoodoo curse blessing. I don't know what it was. A candle that was burnt all the way down, a couple of pictures on the ground, something burnt.
Yeah.
Weird. But anyway, we found that. And when we're backing out, we get bluff charged in that washout.
Yeah.
And so what was all that?
Yeah.
Hell, I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to say what I saw was a Bigfoot.
No.
I can't. I can't identify what I was looking at.
Yeah.
I can tell you what it looked like. I can tell you the type of feeling that I had when it happened.
Yeah.
Me and her both got the same feeling that it was a physical creature. But do we know? Absolutely not.
But
absolutely not.
But an experience? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Something cool? Awesome. The whole orb thing, heat ball, whatever it was,
and that's just it. You really have to be willing to call the spade at that point, and to be like, hey, this is anomalous. Yeah. Like I saw at one point a black amorphous shape flying through the sky,
right?
Kind of like you were describing, but it was huge,
right?
Like bigger than a couple of cars put together.
Wow.
Was not a craft, was not lights, was not an orb. It was a UFO. Right. It was an unidentified flying object. It was an object that was flying through the air that
you couldn't.
We have no idea what it is. That is where I leave it.
Yeah.
I don't say it was an alien craft because I can't. I can't. I had no experience. It didn't telepathically communicate with me. Didn't land. Things didn't come out. Not any craft that I know of. So, yeah, it is an anomaly. That's it. I witnessed that.
Well, even
and you have to be willing to say that's it.
Even when you're talking, and I'm not a big UFO guy. Okay. I've got my plate full enough of these.
Yeah.
But even if, and I've never seen what somebody would call a UFO. I mean, I guess was it?
It was hovering off the ground, so it was flying.
I could technically call it an unidentified floating object.
Sure. It was flying. Flying is off the ground. Doesn't matter the height.
Right. Technically, I guess that is.
Yeah.
But when we think about that, and everybody talks about the crafts, triangles, the tic tacs, and everything, and you said something. You said what you saw. You could not say it's an alien spacecraft.
Yeah.
Right? We can't say that about those either.
No, you can't. And that's just it. We've been calling it Kleenex so long.
Exactly.
We forgot that there's Scott tissue.
Yep.
That there, Yeah. And so everything is a catch-all bin, and there's a problem with that. And we need to have these distinctions. We need to have clear distinctions so that we know what we can't quantitatively get any evidence toward anything if we don't know what we're trying to look for. Right. So, Tex, thank you so much for the time, man. I appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can go to follow Tex's Front Porch, where they can go to follow your work, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, I have recently, I have somebody doing it on my behalf. Heather Mosier, fantastic from Small Town Monsters. She's actually working on my behalf doing some stuff. And I'm out there on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Texas Front Porch. And we're on, of course, YouTube, Spotify, any place
You're in the Dogman Triangle movie.
I am. I was blessed enough for them to approach me and be Small Town Monsters' latest documentary.
Yeah.
Like I said, Dogman Triangle, Werewolves in Lone Star State.
Yeah.
But I want to give a shout out real quick. Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
Yeah.
Just released his first book.
Awesome. Awesome. Good for him.
Yeah. Jason McLean did the illustrations for him, and they worked together and edited and released it and everything. Fantastic book. So y'all go check that out. Jason McLean.
Yeah. Jason questions everything.
Yeah, he does. His book, Metroplex Monsters. Great book. Great book. The Miss Danielle Diva. This is the newest member of our team.
Okay.
Fantastic woman. She's the great grandniece of Vlad the Impaler.
Oh wow. Okay.
We actually dipped our toes in the true crime deal, and she's doing a true crime show with me every week. And plus she's got her own show on my channel too.
Awesome.
The Blondes and Booze, you got to go check them out. So Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Jason McLean, the whole team. We're not all on the same channel anymore. We used to be. We're doing our own thing, but we're still a family.
Absolutely. That's just it. Tex, thanks again for coming on.
I appreciate
it. Can't wait to hear you talk later. It's going to be fantastic.
I'm looking forward to it.
While you were online checking out all the great content from Texas Front Porch, make sure to stop on by Curious Realm. CuriousRealm.com is the website where you can find all of our episodes, where you can find our guest library full of books that you can purchase. That's also where you can follow, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff, folks. Stay tuned through this commercial break. We'll be right back with our continuing coverage of the final day of the second annual Dogman and Cryptid Conference here in White Settlement, Texas, brought to you by the Paranormal Round Table. We'll be right back after this.